Good afternoon, everyone. We're about to start the session. So we kindly ask all participants to take their seats as we will begin shortly. Thank you for each and every one of you who've been staying for the rest of the agenda of day one of the ASEAN for the People Conference. This is the last session for today's agenda, and I hope you're enjoying it. All right. So we will soon begin the third session for the last agenda for day one of AFPC, entitled It's All About Jobs, 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 Understanding and Anticipating the Changing Landscape of Work, which will be conducted in English. Bagi yang membutuhkan penerjemahan ke dalam bahasa Indonesia, silakan mengambil perangkat yang tersedia di meja dekat pintu masuk, dan jangan lupa untuk mengembalikan alat perangkap ke meja yang ada di depan. We kindly ask all participants to take their seats. For those who wish to go to the restroom or the prayer room, please follow the signage outside the hall. Right. So to start this last session for today, it's all about jobs, 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 understanding and anticipating the changing landscape of work. I would like to invite Vishnavi Charlotte as FPCI Woman in Foreign Policy Fellow and also Program Manager of Social and Economic Research Initiative, who will moderate the discussion for today. Please welcome Vishnavi to the stage.
Salam sejahtera, salam satu madani, and a very good afternoon to everyone at the ASEAN for the People Conference. I hope the energy in the room is still buzzing and everyone has had their lunch, but is not too tired to speak about the session today. Because we're here to talk about the future, and the future is anything but boring. I'm Vaishnavi Charlotte from Malaysia, your moderator for this discussion. I'm here today as the fellow at the FPCI Women in Foreign Policy Program and as a program manager at the Social and Economic Research Initiative. But today, I am here to guide us through a critical conversation. And I couldn't be more honored to share this stage with 4 exceptional speakers, each of whom brings a unique lens to the jobs question: diplomacy, policy making, social enterprise, and youth leadership. First, we are honored to have with us Mr. Denny Abdi from Indonesia, Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia, and currently Indonesia's ambassador to Vietnam. With his diplomatic leadership, he brings a unique perspective on how ASEAN cooperation and international relations intersect with the changing job landscape. Next, we welcome Anthea Ong from Singapore, Chairperson of Work Well Leaders and a former nominated Member of Parliament in Singapore from 2018 to 2020. She's a passionate advocate for inclusive leadership, mental health, and workforce transformation. Joining us from the Philippines is Mr. Mario Salcedo from the Philippines, the Chief Finance Officer at Virtual Lahan Incorporated, a pioneering social enterprise that equips people with disabilities and marginalized communities with digital skills. His experience speaks directly to how technology can be a force of inclusive employment. And finally, we are joined by Mujab from Indonesia, founder of Generasi Perintis, Chair of Indonesian Youth Diplomacy, and recent candidate for Vice Regent of Tegal Regency. He represents the voice of youth leadership and civic engagement in shaping the future of work in Indonesia and beyond. Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, so without further ado, let's start the conversation. Let me pose a question for the audience to ponder over, a question that keeps CEOs awake at night, makes fresh graduates nervous, and sometimes even pops up at family dinners. What will happen to our future jobs? Across ASEAN, automation, artificial intelligence, and digital disruption are not just headlines, they're reality. Some industries are booming, others are disappearing, and in between are millions of workers trying to make sense of it all. By 2030, more than 60% of our workers will need brand new skills just to stay relevant. That's not a statistic, that's a wake-up call. But here's the thing, disruption isn't just about losing jobs, it's about reimagining them. It's about turning uncertainty into opportunity and making sure that the future of work isn't something that happens to us, it's something we shape together. So the stakes couldn't be higher. The future of work is not a distant concept, it is happening right here, right now in every country of ASEAN. And the real question for us today is how do we make sure that this transformation is not just about survival, but about opportunity, fairness, and leaving no one behind. That's what brings us today in this session, Jobs, 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 understanding and anticipating the changing landscape of work. So let's get started, and I promise you, by the end of this session, you'll walk away not just with concerns, but with ideas and hope about the future work in ASEAN. Okay, so to start the questions, let me direct my first question to Ms. Anthea. Ms. Anthea, technology and automation are already reshaping the way we work across Southeast Asia. From your experience, how has this disruption changed job availability so far, and where do you see this transition heading in the future?
Thank you, Vaishu. And thank you very much for having me, FPCI. Very happy to be here. It's a great question to ask, but at the same time, it's also a bit of a loaded question when we already jump immediately into job availability. I think we all know that the ILO, International Labour Organization, has made some prediction that more than half the jobs across Southeast Asia will be automated in the face of AI and robotics and machine learning. So that is what we are looking at. However, I would like us to think about, I think to Vaishu's point, right? It's very easy to get stuck into the numbers. When we talk about jobs, we tend to focus on numbers. But instead of asking what are the jobs that are going to be taken away by AI, I wonder if we can actually start asking the question of what are the human skills that AI cannot replace? And if that then helps us to shape a different way of looking at what strategies we need to develop and come up with. And Einstein said this, I'm paraphrasing, we cannot solve a problem with the same way of thinking that created it in the first place, right? So I hope we actually get into this this transition with coming back, refocusing on our human skills, our human competencies, and not be chasing what are the other jobs that are left, right? I'm not dismissing that there is clearly a challenge that we need to address, particularly for fresh graduates. In Singapore even, we are struggling with half of the fresh graduates being unemployed or underemployed. And you can understand why. I mean, the entry-level jobs clearly would be the first jobs that AI can easily take over, right? So that is clearly, and so like I said, I want to qualify, I'm not dismissing that there is a real challenge we need to deal with now. But instead of putting it on the individuals, which we tend to, we talked about individuals reskilling, upskilling, doing what they need, which obviously is all correct and should still be the message. But I think we need to also pivot to the leaders, the employers, and the systems, right? How do we, by asking the question of what are still the human skills that AI cannot replace, and we want to retain jobs, how do we redesign workplaces? How do we redesign jobs? And at the CSO that I am part of, Workwell Leaders, we just launched a study with the National University of Singapore. It might surprise you, the number one predictor of organizational performance is organizational well-being. And the number one predictor of organization well-being is leader well-being. So we need to go back to the leaders who are actually having so much power and influence on shaping what is the workplace. And then the second factor is actually making work empowering. That would actually help shift performance. So I would ask us to really start to look at dealing with this AI transition, more about being human-centered, just like what this conference is about, and come back to what our human competencies, emotional intelligence, creativity, critical thinking, ethical reasoning. How then can we create jobs around that we know AI will not take away? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Antias. Great insights on the future of jobs. I think I want to pose the same question to Mr. Mar. So on technology and automation, how do you see this changing the job transition for the future?
In my case, by the way, I'm Mario from Virtualahan. What we do is we train persons with disability and other marginalized communities with digital skills. We give them well-being support and we give them employment assistance. For 10 years, and this is where I'm coming from, is that all the community members work at home. We are not confined in the office. I sometimes work at the beach. Okay, so to me and to my community, that is the future of work. So we are no longer bounded by or confined in the office. For so long that there is connection, there's connectivity, we have computers, we have gadgets with us, the work is there. So what does that entail? We really have to equip ourselves with the digital skills. The digital skills, the digital economy is going to be the future of work. We are already right now. It's no longer 10 years, 20 years from now. It's already happening right now. So the courses at school, we are being taught traditional ways of doing clerical work in the office, and that's no longer applicable right now because we're doing cloud filing, we're saving stuff in our laptops. So we're everywhere actually. We're very mobile. So work we really have to adapt to it. So it's not really a matter of is it going to be an AI, machine learning, robotics? All of this is going to happen. And we are thankful that we have numbers, we have scientists who are able to predict. They're predicting it 10 to 20 years from now, it's going to be the prevalent in ASEAN. So we have 5 to 10 years to prepare our ASEAN youth for that. So how awesome is that? Before, no one knows what's going to be the future of work, but right now in ASEAN, we are being informed that that's going to be 10 to 20 years from now. So, hey guys, let's prepare our youth. Let's prepare the marginalized communities because if the least of us succeeds in work, then probably the entire ASEAN is successful already. So if we empower, we provide opportunities, learning, training, reskill and upskill the people right now, the employees right now, then we are future-proofing the ASEAN employment landscape.
Thank you, Mr. Mario. And I think in the same topic of reskilling, upskilling, and in the future of jobs, right? While some jobs are being created and others are being lost, Mr. Ni, I would like to ask you a question. In your view, which industries or types of work are most vulnerable to these rapid digital changes? And what does that mean for workers in those sectors?
Thank you. I will start with this report by WEF that says by 2030, jobs will require physical presence and skills are expected to grow the most, while jobs which can be done by AI will be lost, such as admin and clerical. And it also says that while old jobs vanish, new ones will appear, requiring a new set of skills. 170 million new jobs will be created this decade, while 92 million roles will be lost. Now, how do we see AI? Is AI your enemy or your friend? This is the big, questions. How do you going to treat that? And then, if you look to the future, how is our future? Do we really rely on everything to AI, or you can be the master for AI to work with? The United Nations when they developed this concept of SDGs, it says if we compare to 2015, end of SDGs will be 2030. It's 15 years time, right? So the number of people in the world will be added by 2 billion people, right? And then we need more food, we need more energy, we need more clean water for all those additional people in the world. While currently we are minus 800 million, mostly they are in Africa. That's why if we continue live like this, there will be more war, more conflict in the world to fight for those basic elements to live. So what we can do to the future? You need to be, creative, innovative, find a new way to do better job, more efficient. If you are a businessman, as long as you invest, you will get something. Everything will be better. So, if you use AI to help you, you will create a lot of things. But the thing is, how quick the government or the educational institution in every country to adapt themselves with these new things. Now we are debating ourselves whether we continue use this fossil fuel or green energy. And there is a pros and cons, especially in Indonesia, because coal is very cheap, right? Other source of energy will be very expensive. Now what kind of world that we want to live in the future? And if you see AI as a friend, you can work with AI, bring it in to every kind of job, don't scare to them, and it will be your friend and help you in many ways. So I'm very optimistic. I don't really think that the future will be dark for the young generation because of AI, but because of we are not ready to use AI to help us to live better in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Denny. Youth of ASEAN is the leader of. So, Mr. Mujab, I want to ask you the same question. How, in your experience of youth diplomacy, what sectors do you see being impacted the most by digital transformation for the future?
Thank you, Vishnavi, for the question. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First and foremost, thank you so much for AFPCI for having me here. It is a pleasure actually to share the stage with such a wonderful speaker. But before that, let us check what the thoughts of the audience about the AI advancements or technology advancements. I'm gonna ask you like trivial questions. Please clap if you feel that AI technological advancements make you more being optimistic. Please clap. They're optimistic. Please clap if you think that the advancements of technology can replace your dream job. Can replace your dream job. Okay? And please clap if the technological advancements make you afraid of the future? Nobody afraid. Yeah, because everybody's use ChatGPT right now. Yeah. Okay, but the thing is, I believe that innovations and technological advancements is indeed two sides of coins. It will offer you benefits, and also it will offer you sort of like societal challenge if the society are not prepared to navigate it. So I believe that I also agree that we need to prepare our generations, especially the young generations, with the set of digital skill set to navigate the futures. But the thing is like this: the automations, robotic, artificial intelligence, or in the general terms is digitalizations. It's not only talking about the technical requirements. With the conditions of Indonesia right now, I think we need to see the not only like the surface issue. If we see the surface issue, we will talk about how the young generations, fresh graduates, first jobbers need to be equipped with sort of skill set to navigate the futures. But the thing is, with the conditions of Indonesia right now, technological advancements, innovations are actually affected a certain group of people disproportionately with digital divide and so on and so forth. So I think some jobs are disappearing, but some jobs are emerging. For example, about AI ethicists, AI engineer, and so on and so forth. But the thing is, do the policy in Southeast Asia, and especially in Indonesia, because I'm speaking as Indonesians, are preparing the youth, not only talking about the digital skill set, but also how they navigate the undergoing social economical issue that hinder their fully participation in digital world. I think there's one of the source of risk that need to be addressed by the policy.
Thank you, Mujab. Okay, so we've looked at the opportunities and the risks, but let's take a step back, and I'd like to pose a question to all of our panelists here. Do you think this transformation will ultimately create more opportunities or deepen job insecurity for certain groups? And what urgent steps should Southeast Asian countries take now to prepare their people for the jobs of tomorrow? Maybe Ms. Anthea, you can go first.
I think I join everybody, right, to see this this amazing phase that we're in as an opportunity, right, with with AI, and it's not new to us, right? In humanity, we've always had this massive technological advancement or disruption. So we've always been able to come out of it. I just wish that we in the conversation we have about AI and jobs and opportunities, I hope that as AI becomes more human, we mustn't become less human, right? And I hope that we always remember that. And I hope that, in looking at opportunities, I agree with Mujab. I think, what is gonna also happen is to make sure that the social inequality, the digital divide, and in my case, I'm very concerned about mental health and well-being. That well-being divide doesn't increase because the disruption that we talked about does take a different set of skills, of human skills and life skills, to be able to navigate, to show up for, to adapt. And I think we mustn't take too long. So to your point, I think policymakers need to already right now be not preparing our young for jobs, but actually make sure that we prepare jobs for our people, right? So it's the other way around. I mean, education systems seem to prepare our children and our young people for jobs, but we can no longer predict how the jobs are. right? So we need to flip it around the other way around, right? We need to prepare, the jobs for our people, right? And I don't think we're having that discussion across the region in terms of policy making, systemic changes, and more importantly, I don't think there is a leadership conversation that needs to be had, right? Everything is very much at the ground level, talking about the workers, talking about jobs, talking about the individuals, the skills, but we're not talking at what needs to change that the leaders need to lead. Leaders across the board, right? Policy leaders, corporate leaders, employers. So yeah, I think that's what I would like us to see that as an opportunity, but see it as a way of us changing the conversation. If everyone is drowning, as we said, right, you don't try to save everybody, you try to change the water. I mean, that's a bad example. But what I'm trying to say is that, we need to see what about the system we must change, and we must have the conversation. And that's my concern, that we're not having that level of discussion at the government level. So I encourage all parliamentarians, which I used to be one, to actually speak up and push for this kind of conversations to be had.
Yeah, I think it's about creating a self-sustaining workforce that can adapt to whatever that's being thrown at them,
Exactly.
no matter the time and the
That's
place.
exactly right. And
Yeah.
I think the future of work, if we keep using the future of work, I agree that's digital, but I think the future of work must necessarily be human, must necessarily be leadership. And everything else work around it. That has to be our future of work.
I think it comes back to being people-centered, right? Mr. Mario, what about you? How do you feel?
Yeah, jobs will be lost or reduced in industries, in traditional industries where manufacturing, for example, it's going to be replaced by robotics, machine learning. And I think that's already happening in some of the countries in ASEAN. But there would be emerging jobs in other industries, like for instance, in the digital economy. Fintech would be needing a lot of talents there, cybersecurity. Another thing is for the care economy. A lot of our elders are already aging and they would be needing care. And that cannot be AI. That cannot be machine learned, right? So, yeah, and probably green economy as well. There would be jobs, opportunities for that. So let's train ourselves because EVs are becoming the future of transport right now. So even solar, even the circular green economy, there would be a lot of opportunities there. So yeah, some jobs will be passé or will be lost, but then there would be emerging ones that will really improve our way of living in the ASEAN. So,
Mujab, are we team opportunity or team disruption? What do you feel?
I still see the innovations and technological advancements will absolutely open opportunities. But again, it's not only about very massive advancement in technology. If the society still disproportionately affected by this kind of advancements, so the data says that, for example, in Indonesia, the internet penetration has reached around 79%, but there's stark divides, like rural communities and poor households lag far behind. We also see the gender gap in terms of technology as well, and then we also I argue that if this inequality are not being addressed, so the changing employment landscape will not only give sort of like opportunity, but also will deepen job insecurity for vulnerable groups rather than lift them up. Another point is we see a lot of informality in works. By legal, for example, we enacted the job creation law that actually a reform in the employment sectors, but that job creation law in Indonesia does not recognize the informality and the platform workers. So their rights, the social protections are not being recognized by law, and I think this is what makes some group of people are being disproportionately affected by the technological advancements. It's still, we got so many opportunity for from the innovations, but we need correct policy approach in order to make sure that no one left behind.
Thank you so much, Mujab. Mr. Denny, so do you see these transformations creating job opportunities or disruptions? And what do you think ASEAN needs to do to prepare their people for the future workforce?
I think the key strategy here is how to close the gap between education and industry, right? Because if you look to these two elements, industry, they are at the front, front line. They are adapting themselves to every new opportunities on daily basis, right? They are the fastest group that will be adapted to any changes, while educational system and the government regulation are working behind. Now, the thing is how these two can work side by side. I have another data here, again, in the case of Indonesia, 45% of engineering graduate in Indonesia work in different field. Most of them become bankers, right? They are laughing everywhere, right? So now the thing is, if you want to predict to the future, what kind of job, what kind of graduate that you want to produce to the future, you need to really have constant dialogue with the industry, right? You don't have to ask them, when you need information, what kind of skill do you need now? I have a very good example because I'm still the Indonesian ambassador to Vietnam. There is a university in Vietnam. The name is FPT University. Its main business is software. Now it goes to semiconductor, AI, partnering with NVIDIA. These companies really look to the future. And because for the future, they think they really need to prepare the human resources for their industry. So they now also have university, polytechnic, and so on. And then I attended one of the graduate ceremony. They have 2,000 industry working with all the students in one application. So they talk to each other almost every day. So every time industry need this skill, they will say it to the university or polytechnic and they respond to it. And then when the time for the student to do internship, and this is where they again talk deeper, what kind of students that I need. And because of this, 97% of the graduate from FPT Polytechnic secure job within 6 months. 97.7%. Very impressive. I also have another example in Indonesia. Bina Nusantara University. They also have 2,000 active partners in their ecosystem. And because of this, 88% of graduates secure job within 6 months. So I think as long as we ensure strong connection between educational system and the industry, we will be okay. The industry will innovate every day. And as long as the educational system follow them, that's fine. So the government should provide with a good regulation for these two, so they can really work together. I think in Southeast Asia, most of us are developing countries with the exception of Singapore maybe, right? Because What is your income per capita today? 80,000, right? So the rest are still developing, right? So we have to still improve this kind of mechanism. So
Doesn't mean that we don't have to improve, even
Yeah.
as a sort of high income. I'll just add on to but Danny's sharing. So, and it's true. So in Singapore, in the education system, internship, attachment, that's all part of, very much part of the education journey, for the last, I think, 20, 30 years. But what we have recently introduced is also what we call the earn and learn, right? So you are actually, so it's actually bringing back apprenticeship, and actually embedding it, integrating it very much into polytechnic and also the universities. And we are actually even introducing it further down in the education system. And I think that's helpful. The other part of that's helpful for fresh graduates to find jobs. But we must not forget that the mid-level, right, the mid-careers also need to be supported. And so what we've come up with is what we call the mid-career conversion. It's a very massive program and policy, which, like you said, we involve obviously the industry partners, the education institutions, giving credits for mid-career professionals to do conversion. Right, a very good friend of mine, and she's my bestie actually, Geeta. So she spent she's my bestie. So I just turned 57 yesterday. So she's also 57. Thank you. She actually 3 years ago, right? And she went to a very senior level as a corporate communications director in the hospitality industry, right? And what she does, she felt it was no longer going to be, she kind of hit the ceiling. So she did a conversion and got herself trained as an HR professional. Because she found, this is her way of looking at it, right? There's never going to be the time where you don't need an HR person, right? You're always going to, unless completely the entire organization is just made of robots. You're always going to have an HR professional or a function. So she changed her job two years ago as a single mom. Now, it was difficult, but because we had a policy around mid-career conversion. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, she did it, and she's really doing so well, and really happy. And I think that comes down back to she's really thriving as a human being. And I think that's some of the things that we can do, I think, across ASEAN. And we should be sharing these practices with each other, between the countries. Thank you. Sorry. Bye, Shu.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Can I still use my time? Okay, yeah, just one good, positive comment for Singapore. For the rest of Southeast Asian countries, why Singapore is so good, with their, innovation, everything. Because in Singapore, everybody are entrepreneurs, including the government, right? So we need to follow this. You need, as government, I'm part of the government. We need to really step back sometimes and give more opportunity for the private sector, for everybody with strong mindset to really lead, and for us just to support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anthea and Danny. And I think this is highlighting the importance of public-private partnerships, right? So thank you so much to all of our panelists for these rich insights. At this point, I'd like to open the floor to our discussants. So joining us today is Natalia Wijaya from IDN Global Indonesia. And then we also have Sarima Pengiran from Pusat Ehsan Brunei Darussalam. We have Associate Professor Dr. Nguyen Tan Lam from Lac Hong University, Vietnam. And finally, we have Luis da Costa Ximenez from Belun, Timor-Leste. The floor is yours. Okay, maybe Natalia, you can go first.
Okay, thank you. Wow, so loud. Okay. All right. I am a mom of 14 years old boy, and I'm based in Hong Kong. Yeah, and you know the curriculum in Hong Kong is very tough. We know all the youth nowadays, they are very smart, including my son as well. So he always feels boring at school, and he always tells me, "Oh, why not we change our mindset? Because the curriculum at school is too boring. Like, why don't why don't we change our mindset to be entrepreneur? Yeah, maybe there's a better future." Like, I would like to underline what Mr. Danny just said right now. Okay, but when we talk about job and the future, as we know, ASEAN countries contribute a lot of migrant workers. We have approximately like 7 point something million migrant workers. And when we talk about the migrant workers, I know that a lot of countries in ASEAN not allowed migrant workers to bring their family to come with them. Okay, so it means that we have a lot of the left behind children in the origin country, as well as undocumented children in the placement countries. So what I would like to ask is if you have any good suggestions for a better future for the marginalized children. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think we will collate all the questions and then our panelists can have a go at them. Next, can we have Sarima?
Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. I'm Pengiran Sarima from Pusat Ehsan Al-Amira Al-Hajjah Mariam, a non-profit for people with disabilities in Brunei Darussalam. And we just recently established a school, first school in Brunei Darussalam for people with disabilities. Okay, so I'm addressing four vulnerable people, you know, vulnerable workers across ASEAN, yeah, especially those with disabilities. Exclusion from the digital economy is a very critical risk, okay? Now, my questions comes in two folds. First, which non-traditional channels like faith-based groups or peer networks are most effective for reskilling region-wide? My second question would be, how can we measure their true success beyond certification using metrics that reflect a person with disabilities, dignity, and livelihood? Thank you.
Thank you, Sarima. Associate Professor Dr. Nguyen Tan Lam.
Distinguished panelists, my colleagues and participants. My name is Nguyen Tan Lam. I'm currently the Vice Rector of Lạc Hồng University from Vietnam. And as the university leader from Vietnam, I would like to really appreciate the sharing from the panelists, especially Danny, regarding to how to close the gap between the industry and university collaboration. And the key challenge is to how we can ensure that no one is left behind. And that's the key challenge until now. That's from the higher education perspective, I think it's very important that we can reposition higher education in Asian universities. We must position it as a true hub for the lifelong learning. Because as you may know that the automation, digitalization, or something like that is already changing our labor markets. And how we can ensure that inclusiveness is the key issue now. So, and I identified two priorities. The first one is how we can make flexible the learning pathways, so that, for example, the micro-credentials and also other stackable modules, so that the worker, they can reskill and upskill without leaving their jobs. The second is how we can strengthen the outreach and partnerships. As Danny already mentioned, that we need to engage the industries, NGOs, and communities to bring the education and training to where people live and work. That means they don't need to travel outside and leave their job for the reskill and upskilling. And the key challenge for Asian universities is to balance between the innovation and the inclusion. And this requires not only the academic reform, but also the collaboration across the governments, private sectors, and civil societies. So building on this, I have two questions. And would like to link our panelists' expertise to the higher education and workforce transformation. The first one to Danny. As we already know that governments are very important in changing the regional labor mobility. So how can ASEAN countries that can have create a policy framework for recognizing the micro-credentials or reskill programs so that workers, they can get trained in one country, can seamlessly pursue the opportunities across the region. There's the ASEAN countries. And my second question to Ms. Ong. With your leadership expertise in the work well leaders, could you please propose a model regarding to the industry-university collaboration that can ensure the ASEAN graduates they are equipped with technical skills and also the adaptability, resilience, or human-centered competencies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
so
much.
much, Professor Nguyen. And then finally, let's hear from Luis da Costa Jimenez.
So, thank you. Yeah, I'm Luis Jimenez. I do work for the local non-governmental organization, BELUNG, in Timor-Leste. So, my work also supporting youth. Yeah, how can access to job, how can enhance their capacity in terms of the job. So Timor-Leste also, yeah, as we are aware that will become as officially member of ASEAN, yeah, this month, yeah, maybe 25th, yeah, in Malaysia. So I think this is also very good, yeah, interesting for Timor-Leste to learn, yeah, about the job opportunity. Currently in Timor-Leste, unemployment issue is quite high, yeah. Every year, graduate by the universities and even so the government has a good policy how can send young people to the abroad, like seasonal worker in Australia, Korea, and etc. This is just to respond to young people make a better life, sustain their family and then others. So my question after listen very good perspective, very good experience for each other by the government, also other colleagues from the CSO. What is good strategies in collaboration by the government, CSO, private sectors, and young people? I mean that government will be make the good policy. How can I apply? I do agree with that, Mr. Denny. Education and industry. And then now is also AI. So if you want to say that we do agree with AI as a friend, so what is the way to achieve it? I'm talking is about in marginalized group, marginalized community in remote area. I'm not talking in the city, in the town. I'm talking in the people that, if you talk in the future, how can we help and support them? From now, no internet, no I. For us, it's good that we can always talk in AI, but people in the marginalized, this is maybe a good for us thinking about that. Yeah, job opportunity from the grassroots level. Yeah. Other question. Sorry, my question to Mr. Mario. It's quite interesting. You do youth empowerment, youth engagement to train them. So what is the challenges? I'm also working for the CSO. What is challenges in collaboration with the decision maker by the government in terms of the implementing your program? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Luis. And thank you to all of our discussants for such great questions. I'd like to pass the floor over to our panelists. Just want to kindly remind that we have 14 minutes left to answer these questions. Don't want to hold our friends here hostage. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Mario.
Yeah, can I, sir? By the way, Virtualahan is a virtual school. So we train persons with disability, solo moms, indigenous people, out of school youth, and we do it in a platform wherever you are in the Philippines, for as long as you have internet, as you have a machine, a headset, you're all set. Okay, so yeah, that is what we also want to do, where mothers have to stay home. They don't have to even go 5 kilometers or 3 kilometers away, leave their kids at home. We want them to stay at home. So we are looking for opportunities for them. So that's why we train them with digital skills. And since they are solo moms, they have baggages to unpack. We also give them well-being support, mental health support, and also employment assistance. In terms of creating their portfolio, their resume, mock interviews, apprenticeship, and mentorship, all in 10 weeks. So this is digital. And before the pandemic, our employment rate was 78% to 80%. When pandemic happened, it went down. Right now, we are only at 66%. Our sponsors actually wanted us to hit 70%, so we still lack 4%. But regardless of that, we do not have support from government, sir. And there is no policy wherein the industry and us with government intervention is being, it's being created. It's just we approach companies in Europe, in the US. We ask them what digital skills you need for the marginalized to deliver. And they're very receptive. For so long as you are in the margins, they give you, this is what we need, this is what we need. These 5, 10 people to work, and then we get what's the detail. So we train them. We train them the particular skills. After 7 to 10 weeks, we deploy them, and then they are gainfully employed. And by the way, the other day, we just received, one of our graduates just received an offer, 1,500 euro monthly. It's not even a graduate yet of high school. So it's yeah, exactly. Yeah. Every Monday, we actually, the leaders, we share what are the wins. So those are what the wins. So you don't need to, that's, moms has to stay home with their kids. And yeah, we can do it digitally. And I don't want to wait for government to do something. Okay, we just approach industry to ask them what they want and then give us the details. We train our people and we deliver. And I'm talking about here the Philippines, okay? So we don't really want to approach the government for this anymore. So, but if they're here if they will help us, then good. If not, it's still okay. All right, so that's my...
I agree that upskilling, reskilling, training is very important approach in order to make sure that our generations is really ready to that. And I also agree with your brave sons, that mindset is also important. So I think not only, give like some curriculum that connect the needs of industry and educations, but also training the future workers with like cognitive and social skills. For example, like creativity, collaboration, teamwork, and so on and so forth. It's also important to make sure that we are resilient to such a evolvements, because the technological advancements is very fast. So the task base that we learn today, maybe we doesn't need that in the future. So I think train our generation to be more resilient is very important. I also want to touch upon the questions about the migrant worker, because my mom was a migrant worker in Malaysia. So I spent my childhood live far from my mom's, but I don't know how like the policy approach, maybe Pa Denny will answer about that, but I think with the ongoing, this is not very sad answers, yeah? But the ongoing labor migrations in the regions that we experience surplus of productive age workers, and also some of part of the world, or even in regions experiencing the aging society, I think that kind of labor migration is inevitable. But the thing is, the labor market, migrant worker, in Indonesia, we always said migrant worker as the champions, as the hero for devisa and so on and so forth. But the thing is, there's not enough social protections for them. So I think maybe this conference can start to discuss what kind of bilateral or regional discussions in order to make sure that the safety and the protections for the migrant workers, at least across the Southeast Asia. Yeah, I think that was my answers. Thank you.
I just want to chime in on Mujab's point about migrant workers. And so in terms of bilateral agreement, it started. So Indonesia and Singapore, actually, when it comes to the migrant workers and foreign domestic workers, your country, Indonesia, has been very good in insisting on certain terms in protecting Indonesians who are actually in Singapore. You know, and that's only a recent development. So I'm very pleased about that, because you're right, it's something that we never really looked at the government-to-government level. But there's this example now between Singapore and Indonesia. And I hope we can start doing that, you know, with the other countries. I would like to respond to your question specifically about Work Well leaders and what we can do. And so when we started Work Well Leaders, it's really looking at how do we go to the very top, the people who can actually make change happen, right? So this is the first non-profit collective. It's not just CEOs, it's also the top leaders in the public sector, the top leaders in the people sector. And the idea here is to bring leaders together who they are obviously having the influence to make changes at the systemic level. Right. We really need that to happen. It's early days. We're only about 4 years old as an organization, but we are already starting to focus on what we call sustainability. Right. And sustainability is not just environment, it's actually sustainability also of the people. Right. And so for me, we can talk a lot about jobs and skills, but we cannot ignore the fact that today in Asia, not just ASEAN, which ASEAN is included, 4 in 5 in our workforce across Asia suffers and lives with, you know, high to moderate mental health risk. Right? We can talk all about AI and jobs, but if we don't take care of our people's mental health and well-being, right? We don't have an economy, we don't have our resources, we don't have people thriving at all. So at the Work Well Leaders, that's what we're trying to do. But in the discussion, which also includes the government, the unions, we also look into then how we can build not just future-ready systems. We all talk about future-ready and future-proof. We want to talk about future whole. Our people must be whole as we are looking to create, you know, what is for the future, whether they are jobs or systems or policies or protection. We must make sure our people are whole, because right now the numbers are quite staggering in terms of, especially our young people. The mental health challenge is real. So I want to go back to, please look at, if we are investing so much in AI, please invest the same amount in our people. And that's the way for us to really create the future whole systems for our young, but also for everybody, including our marginalized and informal workers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Anthea, and to all of our fellow panelists for giving us such a heartfelt conversation about jobs today. I think something that I can take from this conversation is that jobs goes beyond the technicality of reskilling, upskilling for a future workforce, but it's more than that. It's the human story behind it. It's the emotion behind it. And I think that is something that we all can take home today. I would like to thank all of our panelists. Yes, Mr. Denny, go ahead.
I'm not speaking yet. No, you need to ask the government officials, the only one here.
In Indonesia.
Okay. What we can do in ASEAN to help everybody to make sure no one left behind. In ASEAN, we have the ASEAN Community Blueprint, right? 2025. In the ASEAN community, we have 3 pillars. ASEAN Political Security Community, ASEAN Economic Community, ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community. We have everything, almost everything there. The concept, the agreement, the commitment, the integration is there. If you ask all government officials attending the meeting of ASEAN, they said everything is ready. But what is the reality? Right? Because this still integration among the elite, not by the people. Right? So I think for political security, ASEAN is good. Since 1967, of the establishment of ASEAN, each member of ASEAN never be involved in an open, big conflict. Small one is okay. Because, you are neighbor. You make, tension with your neighbors every day. But you are not, making war to your neighbor. That is ASEAN, right? So we are safe. I think we can assure Timor-Leste that you are coming to the right place, right? So, and that is ASEAN. But after political security, because this is the foundation, you cannot build anything, right, without political, and stability in the region. And we are so successful until today, among the best one in the world. And then, what next? ASEAN Economic Community. So this is where all the details coming in. All the commitment, when you try to implement that, it created problem. With Singapore, maybe we don't have so much problem in terms of migrant workers of Indonesia. But with Malaysia, with our moderator country, right? So many problems because half of Indonesians coming to Malaysia are undocumented, right? So, but we are working on it. We have good relation every time we met. All the meeting discussed, but implementation still lagging behind. This is what we need to speed up. The last one, I think this is the ultimate goals of every community, the people-to-people connection. This is where you really feel it. If you have the integration of all ASEAN countries, you will, not feel that you are Vietnamese when you are in Jakarta. You feel at home, right? Because everywhere we go, at least for traveling, we enjoy that already. But not for work, not for study, we still have some difficulties. So what I'm going to say is we have all the agreement and everything is there. But how to really make it, implement it down to the operational level. This is the challenge. So again, everybody need to work with the government, right?
Agree?
With each other. And another thing, beyond ASEAN, we have a global concept. You know, at global level, there is also a very good principle that trying to bring in everybody to make sure no one left behind. This is among the principle of the SDGs. All the big companies now, multinational corporation from advanced countries, from UK, from Europe, from US, Canada, when they invest in developing countries, they have to follow the ESG principles, right? They cannot destroy the environment because of this investment. They have to calculate the impact to the community. Make sure that your investment will also help the community where you are operate. And lastly, pay your tax. Good governance. Don't go to other country. Pay your taxes over there. So the concept is there, but now implementation. So I think global partnership is the key to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Denny. And I am so honored to be joined by such great speakers. I think for next year's conference, I asked the organizers to give us a little bit more extra time. I'm having such a great time with them. But without further ado, I would like to close this session. I would like to thank the panelists for taking their time to be here. And I would like to invite them to the stage for a group photo.
Thank you very much for all panelists, including the moderator, for such an insightful discussion. Before closing the session, we kindly invite all the panelists and moderator to stand up. And as a token of appreciation on behalf of Dr. Dino Patijalal, we would like to present a souvenir to each panelist who has participated in AFPC. Please do the PIC session to hand it over to the panelists and also the moderator.